Greetings, sending awesome, warm, positive vibrations. This is Body-Culinary. I hope your day has been going well. I thought I'd come on this evening to have a conversation about overeating, or more specifically, stress eating. Right? This is something I'm very familiar with, and maybe something that you can resonate. So that's what we're going to be having a conversation about tonight. So if you're interested in this conversation, tune in. Do know that there's going to be a master class on Saturday, February 10th. Initially it was said February 13th, so exactly February 10th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So today is the last day that there's actually $100 off of that intensive. So make sure you click on to register to reserve your spot. So that's going to be a master class on body recomposition, naturally, without pills and without surgery. So reserve your space if that is the trajectory that you're on for this new season of 2024. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. Also, don't forget, you can get a copy, download your copy of Whole Living Foods in the Hood with menus to fit your budget. If you're looking to reset your mind, right, to get a new mindset, because often people will jump to the detox programs and get more powder and pills and stuff, yet the mindset hasn't shifted. And that's one of the reasons that it's one of the big reasons why people are not often able to maintain and sustain healthy fat loss, what people would call weight loss. I would call fat loss, because included in that is muscle. So we'll talk more about that later. So download your copy of Whole Living Foods and Hood with menus to fit your budget. If you're someone like me that's experienced a lot of acne and tried everything natural and unnatural, you can also get a copy of Natural Beauty, No Products. It is food and movement, but primarily food from the inside, not just topical on the outside, that I use to clear all my hyperpigmentation and my acne. Not all the time. So if you're new here, welcome. I'm Body-Culinary, personal chef, professional personal chef, a nutrition coach, personal trainer with over 35 years of experience. So on this channel, I share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance, and what that looks like for me is being able to enjoy my own hair and skin. I'm not anti-makeup or anti-fashion, though I do prioritize feeling comfortable in my own skin, and really enjoying the aging or maturation, or I call the seasoning process. Becoming mature with grace and with ease, without the stress, without the anxiety. I often wonder, do folks think they have something to look forward to, the younger flowers, as you become older in this climate where there's so much pressure to permanently alter ourselves to the point where everyone has the same kind of look, like you print this out of a machine, and folks are not talking about the scarring or having to go in on back in on the botch job several times, and maybe perhaps not even considering that a lot of these alterations can actually cause what they were supposed to solve, which is really drive in deeper low esteem, right? Because we're doing permanent stuff that you can't take back. So I share some of my journey of radical self-acceptance, really being creative and celebrating the features that I have been divinely assigned. And do know we will all age, even with the best care, but we want to do so pain-free, gracefully, and able to enjoy our own hair and skin. The three leverage lifestyle practices, as I like to call them, and I share on this channel, are three. And the good news is that they are practices that you have access to that will give you dramatic, dramatic results, sustainable results, without a whole bunch of pills and surgeries. And that's a big part of what we're going to be addressing, with tangible things that you can do consistently until your hair is white, right? So if you're looking to alter your body composition, and what I mean by that specifically is a ratio of unhealthy adipose tissue being the term for fatty tissue, right? Not muscle, not muscle. We want to hold on to that. So we're looking to shift that ratio, because right now, I'm 5'2". If I'm 150, 160 pounds, but my body is toned, firm, and I can form, I don't really care what the number on the scale is. So we like to make those distinctions, and add some education and some common sense. So we're not on the whole show. or more diet books and powders and so on. So tonight, though, we're going to be talking about stress eating, overeating mindlessly, and what that's about, right? Actually, I would call it numbing, right? To ease what? What are we numbing out on? So that's what we're going to be addressing this evening. Feel free to comment respectfully. I don't have the only perspective, but I can tell you as someone that has worked at a holistic health center in the 90s, one of my first mentors was Semifreeformlocs. I am in that book, Sacred Woman. So there's many, many moons. I've been out here for a lot of this raw food and veganism before it was really trendy. No one was really interested. None of my peers were really interested in it back in the day. So I'm going through all kinds of phases. And let me say, I don't think that our food should be something to divide us, right? It's easy to ego trip off of the labels. I'm vegan, I'm vegetarian. I grew up on a standard African American and Afro Caribbean diet. And then I come from a family pattern of morbid obesity, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, mastectomy, amputations as a progression of, um, of the diabetes, and also witnessed a lot of substance abuse with alcohol, cigarettes, different narcotics. So for me, and there's a cat that I rescued. So I have him in here. I'm just rescuing the cat. Yes, they do. Greetings, Tamiko. So that's the background that I come from. I graduated from culinary school after coming out of school for nutrition because I wasn't really satisfied with the program. So I'm someone for 30 something years had to create my own education and guide myself before there were all of these programs out here now and new certifications. I was just charting my own path and a lot of in culinary school. But I will say, I credit my grandma Lou would give me my hand at seasoning food. So I like to think I'm adding on to the chapter of flavor and love that she put into the food. And so the way that we eat, the way that we wear our hair, it's a journey. It's a journey. I had Jerry on the gold tooth, right? So it's not for us. I don't know that we really benefit from condemning and judging each other on where we are in what we're eating. Something is nourishment, right? What we're eating, that's going to become a part of our breath, become a part of our womb, become a part of your brain, your literal tissue that you're made up of. So I'd like you to consider the labels being distinctions for what you would like to be served, right? But I'm going merely off of results, and the results are how I feel, what my elimination is, what my skin is looking like if someone has had a lot of acne and tried everything natural or natural. I'm very focused on longevity and vitality. Someone that has competed in fitness, I always have my eye peeled for who are the athletes that have the most longevity in the game with the least amount of injury. So why would I want to be cut up and ripped up for 2 months or 1 year and then going back and forth? It kind of think of the binge purge cycle. I worked at a holistic health center where we had lots of massages, body work, but also a lot of colonics. We did a lot of 1 day, 3 days, 7 days, 21 days, 48 days. Every now and then somebody would do a 100-day fast. So I got to see a lot as a young woman, the different healers coming through the door, the different body workers. And I got to see a lot of people who doctors told them they couldn't do anything else for them. So in desperation, they turned to a holistic route, right? Out of pure desperation. So the live food wasn't popular. It resurgence periodically. The cycle culture comes back around again. One thing is consistent, although there are phases that come around with veganism. Now there's a whole bunch of new stuff: veganism, vegetarianism, animal rights. These are cycles of human um, exploration, evolvement, if you will. Sometimes devolvement, if you will, because sometimes the more things change, there are some patterns that seem to stay the same, and some of it is our mindsets around food. Sometimes we can be striving to change the way they eat because we know, most of us know that no one wants to be unhealthily overweight. No one wants to take insulin or needles, right? I used to have to go to the refrigerator to get my grandma's needles so that she can wipe her leg with alcohol and inject insulin. So I watched wide-eyed, like with the wide eyes of a child. And I wondered if that would be my trajectory. I was wondering if that's what would be the trajectory that I would be on. And I knew very early on I did not want to take needles. So my eyes were peeled for what were the patterns, right? And so I started to make a connection with the foods that we're eating. And the women in my family on both sides, Caribbean and African American, really burn. They could really cook. Um, Looking at the pictures of the women in my family, my mom and my aunties, everyone was slim and fine and very fashionable. So I was looking at some of these old pictures to find out at what point we went from this to this. And I didn't really know the term really fat, my grandma was just grandma, right? So all of who you are is not um, is not your weight. Let me say that because that would be like saying you're not valuable because you have excess tissue on your body. That's ridiculous. And so we got to be really, it's supposed to be really mindful of the messages that are coming at us on social media. But now, hopefully, we can see that we're deeply affected by the music and the food that we're ingesting on a regular basis. It really has the capacity to have us feeling away, and we're striving to make ourselves feel better. But somehow, the solutions that were being offered are offering 10 more problems, right? The ice cream or the treats that were being offered for immediate gratification or to soothe ourselves, right? Many of us, the main thing we have to look forward to after working 10, 12 hours is, and it's advertised now, it's glorified, it's getting a six pack of something or ordering on your phone as you're standing at the train station in a rush to finally get home your pizza or whatever your recreational eating is, rather than make it bad or wrong, if we objectively look at how are these things that we're ingesting recreationally, how are they affecting our quality of life? I've mentioned this a little bit on this channel, my concern always with how certain things are being marketed to us. What's the undertone or the message, right? Now there's this section of social media dedicated to, started out body positivity, and now it's fat positivity, which I think is interesting. Hey, kitty, kitty. And now, actually, I just saw that there is a whole convention called FatCon. My This new kitty is sitting inside of my modern pestle. It's called FatCon, and I thought that this was so interesting to see this clip of this woman saying that we're all coming together, and the woman, technically, medically, is morbidly obese, and she was saying we're all going to be coming together around fat positivity, and I'm like, wow. Now, call me a little old school, or just call me factual, or someone that's looking at the facts. Where I come from, that's crisis. It's like I call it even a split mind. There are conventions now, so we gotta be careful what's marketed to us. There are conventions where women are being encouraged to come together and bond around being morbidly obese. This, in my professional perspective, as woman, as a personal trainer, as someone that has watched my cousin die from cancer, that watched my grandmother, she stayed alive any longer, who died in her early 60s, her foot would have been amputated, right? Have watched a good amount of my family members become morbidly obese, and the definite health complications that come with that, the morbidities or the diseases that run in packs, right? Heart disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure, right? Now, type 2 diabetes has now progressed to type 3, which is dementia, right? Dementia. I can also say, as a seasoned woman, a natural woman, right, that hasn't altered, it doesn't make me better than anyone, but that hasn't altered because that's a core value of mine. Keeping my breasts and my womb tumor and growth free. That is my priority over a look. I like fashion just as much as the next person, but my priority, again, especially as someone that did the second half of the consultation, right, for folks that will come in to hear myself for whatever their health challenge was. I've seen so much suffering in the holistic health field and so much suffering as a personal trainer. I've seen so much suffering in my own family and community. I've watched the alcohol, the drugs, the narcotics, and also what is socially acceptable, the food drunk. The junk food addiction. I was a junk food junkie myself, right? I've watched it take out a good portion of my community. So I'm crystal clear. I'm crystal clear. As much as I love to eat and as much as I'm a foodie, my mindset, there are a lot of things that no longer occur to me as food that you actually could not pay me to eat. And which to me I'm humbled by, I'm so grateful for. But that was due to a lot, not only a lot of education and re-education, it's also definitely a lot of new experiences, and experiences in particular, new culinary experiences, new tasting experiences, new food experiences, new sensory experiences, also new other new experiences, right? Which people may not see as connected to food. So my eyes are trained, I like to say, trained a little differently because I'm fascinated by self-sabotage and equally or basically the things that we do to take ourselves out, right? Putting ourselves in harm's way, that thing that we do as a human species. And I'm also equally fascinated by self-actualization, the things that we would really like to do in our time here on Earth in a human suit. Who are those folks that don't seem to have blockage to creating that kind of life for themselves, giving themselves those types of experiences? So new food and culinary taste experiences, but also other new life experiences that really nourish and feed us in ways that we may not connect to food. So my mentor, one of my first mentors, Tina Fu, I remember she said, I talk about my grandma Lou and a couple of my mentors, my godparents and some of my mentors all the time because I was very fortunate to have had them give me some gems that continue to serve me today. And I think it was also because I was really searching. I was really searching for answers. Again, I'm wondering, am I going to become morbidly obese? And now, some more close family members, I was wondering if that would ever happen to them. Now it's more members of my family. And again, all of who somebody is not the weight on the scale. Let me make that perfectly clear. And I think that's part of what people are really railing against with the whole body positivity. You know, I am worthy, right? I am desirable, right? I have things to offer, right? Not just my weight. So let me just make that very clear. People have value beyond just what your physical presentation looks like. But we know in this culture, we are judged and we have a tendency to judge, condemn, sometimes mistreat people based on our presentation. We're a species. Um, but this tendency to self-soothe with food, it's a distinct pattern. I would even say it doesn't make us bad or wrong, yet the results are what speak for themselves. And so the body and now the fat positivity movement, I'm going to say it's extremely dangerous. Now, finally, there are a couple of people calling it what it is because we're in an age, with this social correctness where you can't, it seems that you can't call something what it is. You give a critique, which is really different than a condemning criticism. Like you can't tell someone that's close to you, that you're becoming unhealthily overweight, and it's dangerous. There are health complications, right? That excess adipose tissue has a specific behavior on the body. Lean mass has a specific way that it behaves on your body. Let's not make a mistake about it. We hear a lot of talk about inflammation, but then there's a split mind, right? It's all the talk about inflammation, which drives us to buy all these products and pills. I see some people, personalities that I would have never seen before, pushing stuff to make you go to the bathroom. That I would never have seen these men or hippies or what do they call them? The guys that ride the skateboarders. I see all kinds of people selling things about food. So we're in another, everybody is selling everything, weed and stuff to make you go to the bathroom, right? But this fat positivity is being marketed to certain populations, right? And it's playing to what I would call the undertone. It's coming through the back door. It's usually playing to the basic human fears, which level the playing field across the board. And they are fear of loss of love and never finding love, fear of poverty, fear of death, fear of illness, fear of old age, and fear of criticism. Oh, I didn't forget them today. Those are basic human fears. And so These laughing, smiling, very clever advertisements are often triggering our subconscious. It is a fact now 95% plus of our waking behaviors are driven by our subconscious. And usually we don't consider a lot of the entertainment as constantly triggering our fears. For example, when we're scrolling on social media, it's almost like the very nature of engaging in social media is as you're organizing things in your brain computer, right? The brain is the organ, mental activity, right? Thinking or mind, that's the function of this organ of the brain. You're comparing and contrasting, comparing and contrasting. That's the very nature of you being on social media. So you're looking at people to see what they have and what you don't have. And that elicits on certain kinds of emotions. Sometimes it's triggering sadness or yearning or longing. So you're thinking, well, if I look like this, or if I get my hair like this, or if I buy more makeup house, then perhaps I'll be chosen. Greetings to Nico. Greetings, Life Path 7. So there is signaling, right? I don't know about you, but I'm humble enough, I'm intelligent enough to not know everything. And I'm fascinated by the self-sabotage, right? The self-sabotage. Doesn't it occur to us that there's a whole mental process that's happening? Actually, the other day I saw my Instagram, by the way, BODYCULINARY is on Instagram. There's an interesting lawsuit that's come out that is actually suing some of the major, what do you call it, funders or creators of the major social media platforms for knowingly manipulating the thought processes of children and young people in order to market products. It's very, very interesting. I did share that post on my Instagram feed, but there's a legal case, right? So there's research about this. For the everyday average person who has time to look at all this stuff, but I think we should know by now, we are being manipulated, marketed, pandered to, I would say seduced to sedate. That's how it occurs to me in my brain. We're being seduced to sedate ourselves. Does that make us bad people? No, we're being seduced to self-soothe. With so much crazy stuff happening online, wouldn't it make sense that you want to mentally escape, right? I saw a thing the other day and I thought it was a different way of reframing, which I'm unapologetic about reframing the narrative. Is it so much that we are addicted to drugs and alcohol, or are we perhaps more addicted to escaping reality? I was like, damn, couldn't have said it better myself. Maybe I've said it in other words, but if you look at different segments of the population in the United States, you have whole little mini cities under the throughways where you see people. It's like their body's physically there, but people just wanting to numb out. And so there's more stigma around narcotics and heroin. I can't even keep up with the new drugs that are coming out. But also, if you look at the amount of money spent on advertising, where it's being pushed, pumped, music, which is rhythmic, right? That have you bypass the lyrics, which are food and music to me, I'm very clear, are instructions. The instructions to your brain computer, which your brain computer, once the information comes in through the orifices or the openings of your eyes and your ears, you're just going to process it, right? You ever hear yourself singing something like this song makes no sense, or this song is stupid, but it's played enough. If you're exposing your brain computer to it, it's instructions, right? This sounds stupid, but does that make sense? Oh, I like their hair. Oh, I like their nails, their body. After a while, yeah, I like this song. Music and food are instructions, and we use them to make us feel better. We listen to love songs. Like I'm a music lover. Al Green, or love the Isley Brothers. But I figured out at a young age, a lot of this music was messing with my emotions. That have you at lightning speed, processing, fantasizing, affecting your decision making. Right? So again, we're in a time, and you can let me know what you think in the comments. We're in a time where it makes sense. There's so much negative stimulus to the brain, to the subconscious, that can really trigger you to feel unsafe and to trigger those fears, right? loss of love or never finding love, poverty, illness, death, what we say old age, and criticism, right? A lot of the signaling, right? A lot of the triggering is signaling or triggering those basic fears. And so the solution you're being offered are these products, is this recreational eating or these drug substances to help you escape your reality so you can feel better. And who doesn't want to feel better? And so here we are at the most socially acceptable way of making ourselves feel better, which is numbing out with food. And so, what is food really, right? It's not, again, as it's broken down, right, into energy and fuel, it's instruction. Because your body has to take those elements of the food and use it again, right? The blood, your transport system, has to take the nutrition to the cells for rebuilding and nourishment. It's used by your immune system, so you can fight off the different bugs or flukes that are in the environment that's coming, that a lot of times that we are ingesting in the air that we're eating on our plate, and then we're eating foods to make ourselves feel better, right? So quite often, I mean, you let me know what you think. Now, when you're eating, can you usually discern between hunger and appetite? Are you really actually hungry, right? And if you are hungry for nourishment, what you're choosing on your plate. Are you choosing it primarily for a taste, which doesn't make us bad people? Are you choosing it, right? Are you thinking that this is going to make me feel better, right? This is going to improve my mood, right? Dopamine, it's the crunch and the flavor. Quite often, I don't know about you, but quite often we're going for flavor. As someone that was really severely addicted to French fries and fried foods and every potato chip on the market, vegan and non-vegan, right? Non-vegan potato chips, all the other stuff they would dump on you, all the flavoring. I can never get full, and I could eat bag after bag after bag, and then wonder why my skin, I had so much acne. Even when I changed my consumption and I was juicing a lot, I was like, why is my face still breaking out? I'm using all these products, I'm juicing and eating all this stuff. And so I eventually had to contend and become very honest with myself. And also, as my mentor would say, you're under heavy manners, is what she would call it, because I was really frustrated and upset. I'm juicing, I'm taking spirulina, all these green powders, I'm taking colonics, and my skin is still breaking out. So eventually I had to come to terms with the fact that I'd done damage to my organs. This is something many of us don't want to deal with. All the recreational eating, we have to pay the tab. We have to pay, somebody's got to pay that bill, right? And one or two green juices is usually not enough to take care of the bill of all the years of the potato chip. All the years I was addicted to them. Every Reese's peanut butter cup, Snickers. Am I telling you what to do? No, I don't tell grown folks what to do. But there's that split mind of thinking that we can just enjoy all the sensory pleasure and not take into consideration the effects of what we're eating that is having on our body, and also our longevity and our vitality and our skin. We're just being offered, right? What's being marketed to us is more palettes, more things to put on top of the body that are often masking ill health. Ill health. And so it can keep us just not in reality, right? It's fun, it's enjoyable, it tastes great on your lips. But then we have the cognitive dissonance, that we're in shock about the diagnosis of cancer or autoimmune disease, which is extremely high in women. And that makes sense because of all the feelings and the emotions, which also have chemical responses in the body, right? There's a really good book called The Body Keeps Score, right? So trauma, PTSD, now we know more about complex PTSD, one traumatic event or experiencing a series of traumatic events over a span of time. The body, the cells, the nervous system doesn't forget any of that. So it would make sense that we want to make ourselves feel better, right? That we're numbing ourselves out. It might have a negative connotation, but we're trying to make ourselves feel better. And that desperation to make ourselves feel better, our discernment is often compromised. We're not thinking that the things we're being offered, right, especially the way they're being marketed, are actually depleting our body, putting our organs in harm's way. All of the chips, right? There's no disclaimer on the chips like there are on cigarettes. All of the Junk foods, even a lot of the vegan junk foods that have no more life force in them, have no more vitality, are devoid of fiber. The potato or the carrots, they started out with fiber and energy and living water, right? Because plants are living information, right? But by the time they've been so depleted, there's nothing left to fortify the body against cancer, to fortify our immune systems. The foods have become something else. I would call them substance masquerading as food. The package says food on it, but if we look at our bodies, if we grab our midsection and we can grab a couple of pounds of excess waste, right? And adipose tissue is a form of waste, right? And it's inflammatory inside the body. Then where is that coming from? It's not coming from broccoli. It's not coming from fresh pineapple. And what is the mindset, right? What is the frame of mind, the decision-making process that's happening when we're deciding to, and it may not be popular, put ourselves in harm's way as we're eating these things. We'll even justify it. Today, you can look on social media and people are railing or really justifying vehemently the things we're doing to off ourselves, and that's what I think is so fascinating about this fat con, right? They've got every kind of Comic Con, got every kind of convention. But the fact that folks, and I'm saying this as somebody that comes from a pattern of morbid obesity, I have half of a thyroid, I like to eat, I got that Caribbean and African American soul food going on, so that could easily be me. I was raised with the pattern of self-soothing with food, right? I mean, initially as a little girl, I want to go outside and play. I'm not thinking about food. Actually, you have to make children come in and eat. But eventually, if that's what you're exposed to all the time, and that's how you see the people and the women around you self-soothing to make themselves feel better, and you know what mommy does? She goes like this, and she puts a little piece in the child's mouth. You eat some, and the children is waiting there patiently for you to give them a little taste. So we're acclimating our children's palates, and we're acclimating and showing them this is how we make ourselves feel better. This is how we manage stress. Children don't buy groceries. They don't. And we may not want to hear that as moms because it's confronting. In the fitness world, in the personal training world, it's folks may think it's just about the exercise, but it's so much bigger than exercise. And which is why I like to reframe the narrative on exercise and I call it a daily personal movement practice. And I say we're leaving a lot of life on the table if women, if people, but especially women, only knew how deeply therapeutic movement is. I dare say people not only knew, but if you can have the experience of how empowering it is to have some comprehensive education, if you knew how much you can use your own little space, you don't even necessarily have to leave your space to dramatically alter your body composition. But more so than that, to make yourself feel better, literally getting internal drugs from your own body, energizing yourself, which isn't necessarily limited to fuel. Let me say that again. Energizing yourself, right? Energy, which isn't always about the physical fuel. For example, some people say, "Oh, I'm too tired to get up early," because we get up early around here. I don't have the energy, but I can tell you, I have never in 30 something years ever regretted a movement practice or what people call exercise. And I realized consistently, because I'm an observer of patterns, that even times when I was tired, that when I do my movement practice, I'm extremely energized, not only physically, but my emotions. I talk about this a lot with the women that I coach and that train with me in the early mornings for the 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time workout. I notice my self-talk is extremely, distinctly positive during my movement practice. So it literally sets the tone for the day. So if that becomes your habit, you literally, without forcing yourself to do all these affirmations, you're having something that's not just intellectual. You're having, even though the movement practice is oftentimes challenging, you're having a physical experience, right? You're having a physical experience, but you're also having a mental and emotional experience. You're demonstrating, you're giving your subconscious, remember we said before, 95% up of our waking behaviors are driven by your subconscious, right? We have our waking mind here, but that's a small percentage. You are working with your subconscious mind during your daily movement practice. So you're giving your subconscious mind evidence of your ability to push through what is uncomfortable, right? Negative emotions, sadness, what I would call stinking thinking. And if you're doing that every day, if that becomes a lifestyle habit, it is it is a game changer. It's a paradigm shifter. And so we're leaving a lot of life on the table. It is something to be experienced, not merely intellectualized, right? So that is why I'm so big on getting up early, right? Why do you get up so early? Why do you get up so early? Are you catching the sunrise every day? Do you know what that does to catch the sunrise every day, to experience the quiet of the early morning? Again, game changer. Now, there's nothing in life where you get something for nothing. Everything is a trade off. So, again, with this marketing, you're constantly told, eat all that you want, and you don't have to count calories. But I tell my folks, my clients, the people I work with, that's a bunch of BS, because I can tell you somebody that's competed in fitness and been around athletes for many years. All the top level competitors and fitness people know their food to the ounce, to the gram. They're measuring. So why would they tell the average layperson that you don't have to have a clear understanding of portions or how much you're eating, right? Because it's telling you what you want to hear. Because who wants to do that? It seems like a drag, because it's confronting. It's confronting. Who wants to be really honest and vulnerable with themselves or with their own ego? Who wants their security blanket taken away from them, right? But this is a huge area of opportunity, right? The things that we avoid the most can actually give you the most freedom. I would dare say it's one of the reasons why I like to take a lot of distraction off the table. So I don't like to be overly concerned about hair. I was rocking some curls the other day. These were like some quick little braids, right? No oil, no nothing, because I don't want to worry about hair. I don't even want to worry about food. So I can't eat it any better than whole fresh living foods. Taking those two things off the table. I don't worry so much. Love fashion, but I don't worry so much about clothes. Taking a lot of distraction off of the table. So then that frees you up to deal with the undertone. What is really driving your behaviors? What is driving you in your quiet moments by yourself on the unit? What is driving you to self sabotage? If that's with food, if that's with placing yourself in harm's way with people, whether they be in person or online personalities that are abusive, or sitting and waiting and hoping and pleading without getting into immediate action. Meanwhile, the body is not stagnant. Either we are gaining strength, right, and we lose muscle exponentially after age 35. That's sarcopenia. Look it up. There's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline while we're sitting and not making a decision. Not making a decision is a decision. And it's something I have to say, I watch so many of us suffer from not confronting having so much excess adipose tissue. I'm not talking about aesthetics. I'm talking about your organs failing under all the duress, all the stress from the excess marbleization of fat wrapping around the organs. Not just subcutaneous underneath the skin, but visceral fat wrapping around the organs, the decreased mobility. I would even say, and I thought for many years, that I think it's very unfair to our spouses and our children. Um, but I also get where it's coming from. So not to make us bad or wrong, yet we are responsible. But our children, I think, are traumatized from seeing us very unhealthy. It makes them feel unsafe, because if something happens to mommy or daddy, then what's going to happen to me, right? And so it's depression. It doesn't feel good. Again, no one wants to be unhealthy or overweight. Nobody wants to be taking, uh, needles every day. Who wants to be on medication to the point where you can't even travel because you can't be away from your medications? Who wants to be addicted legally or illegally? So these are some things for us to consider. Eating mindlessly or just not being present, which all of us, have experienced, right? I think cultivating the awareness is really key. And so tools to cultivate that awareness. What are the tools? They are lifestyle practices, those same lifestyle practices that I talk about all the time that we have access to. Though the access comes through doing and engaging beyond mere, the intellect, right? It's not something just to think about, it's something to get into action. If you're not making regular deposits, tangible deposits into the 401k of your vitality through movement, through being in nature through eating real food, then it's not real. As one of my coaches would say, if it's not on your calendar, if you can't do an accurate accounting on your calendar, on your checkbook, then it's actually not real. Then it's actually not real. So in any event, let me know what your thoughts are around numbing. Have you experienced it without labeling or necessarily taking a label or beating up on yourself? Can you distinguish when we are not present as we're self-soothing, right? If you're in the corner with your cookies and your book, right? I remember when I was doing that as a child, to escape all the chaos around me. I would get my little penny candies and my cookies and a book and go sit in the corner. I didn't think of that as binge eating or overeating, but it's a pattern of self-soothing. Can you identify that? Can you identify how often when you are in front of the TV screen, which I find I consider this a TV screen, right? Or these screens or handheld screens, can you discern where you are just not present as you self-soothe? Even the different things that we're ingesting visually, seeming to make us feel better, but coming through the back door, really still feeding those fears. And how does this show up in our behaviors? To me, it shows up, if it doesn't pass that litmus test, am I putting myself knowingly in harm's way, right? So usually that type of self-reflection will require us to get slow down a bit and to be more self-reflective, right? Because that's where the awareness comes from, the paradigm shift that will give us access to sustainable and permanent change. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Today is the last day if you would like to register for the body recomposition naturally. Body recomposition masterclass that's going to be on Saturday, February 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're looking for support and I'm all about getting into action around the things that you say are your core values. So this is not with pills. This is not with powders. We're going to be cutting the guesswork out of how do you change the composition of your body. The ratio of lean mass, which is metabolically active, lean mass or muscle looks different and behaves very differently than adipose tissue, which just sits around in a lawn chair in your body. Both of them affect your thinking and your cognition wholly differently. One is an asset and one is a liability. So that's what we're going to be exploring and coming away with tools and getting in action and cutting the guesswork out of how do we recomposition our body so we have lean active tissue without the pills, without the fluff, in a way that is sustainable. So today is the last day to get a significant amount off. It's $100 off. Today is the last day, but that is going to be February 10th. So RSVP on your spot. It is the body recomposition masterclass, and that's naturally. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of discovery, a lot of self-exploration, and a lot of addressing the why, the undertone as to why we do what we do and putting our bodies in harm's way. And you know, there's a lot to look forward to. If I didn't enjoy my lifestyle, the way that I eat, which is more than a label, which is why I'm so grateful that I figured out whole, fresh living and unprocessed food. If there's going to be any processing, then you do it. It's at a minimal and you do it. And that's a huge distinction from anything. Take it from a professional chef. Very different from anything that you would get out at a restaurant, right? And we're going to be looking at a lot of the distinctions that have us confused or have a split mind and directly affect us getting very specific results, right? And the goal here is longevity, vitality, and a healthy body weight. Your body is very intelligent. The body knows how to adjust to a natural, healthy weight. One, we just stop putting things or substances masquerading as food in it. But do know you can have these feel good conversations, but our set point has not disappeared, right? Our set point, our justifications for making ourselves feel better with these substances, it hasn't disappeared. So there's quite a bit of re-education to be had, and also the shortcut is to have new, pleasant experiences and new education around how is my body like this? Why is it like this? And what's the trajectory looking like? What is the true cost of having a split mind? What is the true cost of not being present to all the recreational eating that I'm doing, and it directly it I cannot even express how much it impacts our vitality and what we have to look forward to in the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. And you can look fantastic in your 50s, naturally grow your own hair and skin in your body. I can tell you, you can transform your whole body composition and your performance and make deposits, significant deposits into the 401k of your health and vitality naturally. You got enough space for a mat, you have enough space to administer some deep therapy to yourself. So, like, comment respectfully, subscribe. Please do share this video with someone who would benefit. I look forward to seeing you at the Body Recomposition Masterclass. If you're interested in questions, or you have questions or interested in coaching, reach out to me, info@body-culinary.com. Let me know that you're coming up to the YouTube channel, and I will see you soon. Have a deep rest this evening so that your body can absorb all the food that you're eating, and so that you can really enact and get into action around the things that you say are your